What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. And join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including two major injuries to top WWE superstars, with one being out 6 to 9 months, a major return to Raw, more proof to the Stephanie McMahon / Randy Savage scandal, a new title match signed for Money in the Bank, and much more. Of course, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. But just before we get into the video, after 3 long years, we finally have official merchandise. We have t-shirts, hoodies, and for some reason a sticker. And if you want to cop one, be sure to check out the links below. We also have channel memberships with exclusive Wrestlelamia emojis and badges, and any new members will get shoutouts at the end of this video. Shoutouts will be given in every news video. But let's waste no further time and get straight into the first story, as Jimmy Uso is injured and could be out to 6 to 9 months. Now, the Usos have had a major role in SmackDown's tag team division, challenging for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship on several occasions recently. However, that won't be happening anytime soon, as Ringside News reports Jimmy Uso suffered a knee injury during his last appearance on the Blue brand. We are told the current prognosis is that he will be out of action for 6 to 9 months. He will need surgery, but the exact nature of his injury was not disclosed. Now, this is terrible news for the Usos, as we're only just off television for many months. But that's not the only injury, as Kevin Owens is also injured. Bad news coming from Canada, as current Raw superstar Kevin Owens is reportedly out with an ankle injury, as according to an article at the website RDS, Owens revealed that he suffered from an ankle injury, the result of his spectacular flight during his fight against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 36. Owens drew himself from the top of the WrestleMania inscription about 20 feet away from the ground to land on his rival, who was lying on a table. As a result, the Quebecer believes he is suffering from a sprain or slight fracture, and x-rays will be necessary during the week to confirm everything. Owens' injury raises the question of how it was wise for him to perform such a high-risk stunt at an empty arena show. If Owens misses a significant amount of time, it'll be another reminder of how often unnecessary bumps wrestlers take to entertain fans. According to the article, Owens has spent time away because of the ongoing health pandemic. Owens revealed, "The great thing about WWE is that it doesn't require us to be there if we don't want to. This is also why the last 2 weeks I have not been present, because I preferred to be at home with my family. We will continue to update you guys on the situation, but we wish both Jimmy Uso and Kevin Owens a speedy recovery." Next up, did Randy Savage share the truth about the Stephanie McMahon rumor? During an interview on the YouTube channel Hannibal TV, Randy Macho Man Savage's former valet Gorgeous George, aka Stephanie Bellas, discussed an evening when Savage, whom she dated at the time, allegedly did ecstasy and opened up about the long-rumored affair between himself and Stephanie McMahon. Be sure to check out our video for further details. But according to Bellas, "Oh, he told me. I think he didn't mean to tell me that. The next morning he asked me, 'Did I tell you anything last night at the beach?' I said, 'You sure did. You know exactly what you said.' You know what I mean, because it was kinda like the truth drug. Once he got on that, he started telling me everything, and it is what it is. You know he knows she knows what it all was." According to the show's host, Savage's brother Lanny Poffo revealed what happened, but since the conversation is off record, we don't know what really happened. As we pointed out before, only Stephanie and Randy know for sure what happened, and we may never know. But what do you guys think? Is there still any truth to this urban legend? Next up, an interesting twist to this year's Money in the Bank pay-per-view. The WWE continues to shake things up for this year's Money in the Bank pay-per-view. The stipulation that wrestlers would fight their way from the ground floor of the WWE headquarters up to the roof was already a huge change, but now TalkSport's Alex McCarthy is reporting both men's and women's Money in the Bank matches will go down at the same time. It was announced on SmackDown, because fighting up through the building was just too vanilla. I'm excited to see what craziness ensues. Will fans see both sets of competitors interacting as the male and female superstars fight their way to the rooftop? This should be one of the most exciting Money in the Bank shows in recent memory. Next up, a new match announced for Money in the Bank. WWE.com announced a big match for the 10th May Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and it includes the New Day putting their reign on the line against The Miz and John Morrison, the Forgotten Sons, and Lucha House Party in a fatal 4-way match. It's pretty clear from the original plans that the Usos were going to take part in this match, but thanks to Jimmy Uso's injury, that won't be happening. Next up, SmackDown ratings at an all-time low. The ratings are in and the blue brand has outdone itself again, pulling in its lowest numbers yet since switching to Fox. PW Insider's Dave Shearer is reporting that last night's SmackDown did 1,919,000 overnight viewers, down from 2,014,000 overnight viewers. It's the first time the show has dropped under the 2 million mark. The blue brand has typically been making up for the low viewership by drawing in good numbers in the premium demographics. However, as noted by Wrestling Observer Figure 4 Online's Paul Fontaine, in the 18 to 14 demo, SmackDown averaged a 0.5 rating, matching last week for the lowest the show has done in the category since debuting on Fox, and the show has lost about 20% of its viewership since the move to closed-set episodes. The show averaged just a 0.2 rating in the 18 to 34 category, trailing everything on network television except for 2020. Now the decline has been slow but consistent, with SmackDown losing anywhere from 1 to 9% of its audience every week since the start of the coronavirus pandemic. The exception was the WrestleMania Go Home show, which was even with the previous week. The empty arena shows are killing SmackDown's ratings, and while there are rumors that WWE is going to bring in fans into the Performance Center, there's no telling whether this will happen. They may have to consider finding another venue besides the Performance Center, as the number of fans that would be allowed there would be 50 to 75 at best. Do you think the WWE should try for a bigger venue, or go with an NXT-sized crowd? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, a WWE tag team splitting up. Zack Ryder aka Matt Cardona and Kurt Hawkins aka Brian Myers were teammates for many years, dating back to their time together on the indie circuit, as well as for a significant portion of their WWE run. However, now that both men have been released from the WWE, it looks like their team is over as both men go their separate ways. Speaking with Fightful.com, Cardona explained, "So Brian and I talked about this. We are not teaming. We are not teaming anywhere unless one of those things we want to do is we do the Major Figure Wrestling podcast. But we'd like to put on live wrestling shows. I would love to team with them in that environment, or I'd love to wrestle like the Rock and Roll Express or the Headbangers. But other than that, we're going our separate ways." The saying never say never again certainly applies to professional wrestling, so we may see Cardona and Myers back together somewhere down the road. Next up, a huge spoiler as a major return is set for Raw. Raw could use some star power as his ratings have been a disaster as of late, but now Post Wrestling is reporting that fans can expect to see a big return on the 4th May episode of Raw. This Monday's taped edition of Raw from the WWE Performance Center will feature the return of a performer that has been off television for the last month. AJ Styles is set to return on this Monday's episode and is expected to be part of the Money in the Bank show that will stream on the WWE Network next weekend. The Styles return presents a number of possibilities to shake things up on Raw. Will they follow up on the Phenomenal One's epic Boneyard match against The Undertaker at WrestleMania 36 and show whether it affected him? With Kevin Owens' health up in the air, Raw may need another babyface. Next up, Becky Lynch's next Hollywood project. Becky Lynch is scheduled to make a cameo appearance in this season premieres of Showtime series Billions, but apparently it's not the only role she has lined up. According to Variety's Chris Tapley, Becky Lynch grabbing Hollywood's eye. She's also in a certain upcoming Marvel movie. There's no word on whether the man will be playing a minor or major role, or what Marvel franchise she'll be appearing in. What Marvel film do you think Becky Lynch will show up in? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, Jim Ross's advice for released wrestlers. Jim Ross has some advice for many wrestlers who are currently out of work due to the releases or independent shows being forced to shut down. Ross recently shared these pearls of wisdom. It is time to hit the reset button, reinvent yourself. When you come back after being laid off, are you going to be better than you were when you left? Are you going to recognize that we were perceived weaknesses and turn those weaknesses into strengths? This has a lot to do with talent, maybe everything to do with the talent. How are you going to hit that reset button? How are you going to reinvent? Please don't get into the woe is me, my dreams are over. Your dream is not over. If you think like that enough, you're going to have a self-fulfilling prophecy, which I find unacceptable as well. It's not the end, it can be the beginning. Stay positive, get better at who you are and what you are, and come back with a plan. Ross has been fired enough times that he knows what he's talking about. Life is full of circumstances where a major setback was followed by a fantastic career resurgence. Just look at Drew McIntyre of all people. He was fired in 2014 and now he's come back strong as WWE Champion. And finally, Mike Kanellis confirms who's running the shows in WWE. Recently released wrestler Mike Kanellis confirms something fans have heard for years, just who has the final say on the main roster. Raw and SmackDown is Vince McMahon. That's all Vince. Even with Paul Heyman and Bruce Pritchard, everything goes through Vince. That's just how it's always been. That's just the way the company runs. You can either like it or you can hate it, but at the end of the day you accept it. It's his company. The so-called wrestling experts and pundits can talk about Paul Heyman's influence on Raw or Bruce Pritchard's influence on SmackDown, but as long as Vince McMahon continues making the final call, it's unlikely anything will change in the WWE. But there you have it guys, the wildest stories and rumors you need to know. What do you guys think of these stories? Let us know in the comments down below, and a huge thanks to new members Kathy Sanderville, Michael Ricard, Damian Napper, 11011, Kitty Cat and Wrestle Club. As always, be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.